Egypt and Turkey are part of the talks, along with U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. President Trump says the negotiators are making a tremendous progress and hopes an end to the war and an exchange of hostages and prisoners can happen this week. He also pushed back on this report, claiming Trump, in no uncertain terms, told the Israeli prime minister to stop being so negative and take the win. The president's plan includes Israel withdrawing from most of Gaza and Hamas disarming, though Hamas at this point hasn't said they have any intention of putting down their weapons.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. 2 years ago today, the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust happened in Israel. It would be equivalent to 45,000 Americans being killed on September 11th. It is a horrible day that many of us will remember where we were when we heard about it. Pastor Robbie Coleman has been involved since his, I don't know if a pastor ever retires, but since his retire from daily church work, he has been involved in Israel and was actually there on October 7th. So we asked him to come in today and talk with us about that day. Robbie, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's an honor, Martha, to be with you and your audience, and we pray that today eyes will be opened and hearts mended, and we can bond with this great group of people that's our Jewish community.
Yes, and so tell us first about October 7th for you in 2023.
Well, the Feast of Tabernacles had just ended the day before, and that was for 7 days. On the 8th day was a day of rejoicing, of victory. Everybody was looking forward to the 8th day. And we were awakened about 6 o'clock that morning with horrible sirens. They have different levels of sirens that go off. This was the most severe. We knew something was really going on. It was tough to get any news. The only news I could get was from America. Israel wasn't telling anything because that also was a Shabbat, which meant none of the religious Jewish people, which controls many of the media outlets, were able to go on the air to say what was happening. So we just knew something eerie was going on. The siren was off. We were forbidden to leave our homes. But we did not know that about 40 miles, we live in Jerusalem. We did not know that 40 miles away, 1,200 innocent people were being slaughtered.
And I think that people, when you say 40 miles away, and I'll ask you in a minute to talk about how you ended up with this ministry in Israel, but 40 miles away shows how small this country is.
Sure.
You think about it when you look on a map, if you don't have the perspective there, that Jerusalem is a long way from that border, but it's not. And the country is very small, and it is a speck, really, in the sea of what is the Middle East. And it's could have come to you. I mean, 40 miles would not be so far for something to travel. Now, do you have a safe room in your house?
Yes, I do. Most Israelis do, yeah.
So tell me how you ended up there on that day and the ministry that brought you there.
Well, for about 12 or 13 years now, Zion's Bridge, that's the ministry that my wife and I co-founded. We do not have a kind of visa that we can go in and start a church or do Christian type work. Some have that, but it's it's a legal wrangling. But God gave us the vision to go of Isaiah 40, which simply says, "Comfort my people." So our effort all of this time has not been in evangelism, but it has been to help and bless this tiny nation that's struggling to get back on its feet, that so much of the world has tried to put down. So we were there doing other projects. We have our apartment is in Jerusalem overlooking the Temple Mount. And so we were going through a normal day when all of this happened.
So one of my dearest friends in the world is a woman by the name of Lisa Wexler, who lives in Connecticut. She and I are both radio people, and we met and we've been friends for years, and she is Jewish. And through this time, we've been talking a lot about this. And we talked about Israel long before October 7th happened, but it became more heightened because of the things that started happening, the anti-Semitic things that started happening, especially in the Northeast. But, they're happening everywhere. And we had this conversation one day where she said, Martha, if it came to it, would you hide me? Because she was feeling unsafe. And it came after a documentary that Sheryl Sandberg did called Screams Before Silence, which was about the sexual assault on October 7th and covering the stories of the women. And Sheryl Sandberg is one of those people that has enough money that no one can hurt her. So she was able to do this project and do it fairly and correctly and horrifyingly to tell this story so it wouldn't be lost. And I said to her, of course, and I made a joke out of it where, we live on 4 acres of land and my husband's the best educated redneck you'll ever meet. And so if you come to me, you don't have to worry, you'll be fine. But it made me think about another thing about what women are thinking. And there's a group in Atlanta that I've been lucky to be a part of that started since October 7th called Better Together. And it's Jewish women and Christian women getting together and talking. And they ask those kind of questions. But the interesting thing, and I'd wonder if you agree with this, is that the Christian women knew more about Judaism than the Jewish women knew about Christianity. And logically, that makes sense because we study the Old Testament and the New Testament. They just study the Old Testament. But it's been an amazing thing to see women get together that live pretty good lives. They live in Atlanta. They, the women go to the temple. The other women go to nice churches in Buckhead, so they prior to October 7th didn't feel touched by any of this. And then October 7th happened and they started to think this could happen here.
Well, that's exactly right. And Judaism is a very guarded religion. The rabbis, through other writings such as the Mishnah and the Talmud, they tell the people what they need to hear. And very often, as we have built relationships in Jerusalem for so many years, a lot of them will come to us. I have so many friends in Israel, and they'll ask us, they'll say, how would you Christians handle this situation? And so, and that's the way we build relationships, is by saying, hey, yes, I study my Bible every day, but our foundations are through you guys. So I'm not sure I answered that question, but that's common that many Christians are trying to find out more about their roots, and not so much on the Jewish side, but that is starting now. I can't tell you how many has come to us thanking us, actually calling us heroes. I don't like that word, but actually calling us heroes for being in Israel and helping them through their time.
So I grew up in a pretty high Lutheran church, okay, and I'm a Methodist now, and it was a compromise my husband and I came to when we got married, and there was a transition in my growing up time between how we looked at Judaism. I can remember as a young child, it wasn't as positive a discussion, as it became. And I think that's happening throughout evangelical Christianity, isn't it? That we're instead of us looking at it as us against them, it's us and us, because we're from the same Father.
So many people that really are seeking truth, they're finding that out as well. But on the other side of the coin, it's staggering to me at how many people are turning anti-Semitic, even in the church world. So many of my friends even are saying to me, Robbie, I don't understand this. How can you call one group chosen and not another group? Isn't that kind of like being prejudiced? Yes, to answer your question, we are learning and appreciating each other more and more. But by the same token, the book of Zechariah, Genesis chapter 12 and 3, everybody knows that. I will bless them that bless you, I'll curse them that curse you. But if you go to Zechariah in 12 and 3, Zechariah sees the end time, and he says that at the end time, Israel would be a stone that so many would try to crush. And God says, if you lift to help it, I'll bless you. But if you try to crush it, I will crush you. So we're seeing so many people. Zechariah said the whole world, the nations. And when that UN meeting just recently, and so many people got up and walked out of Netanyahu, his speech, that wonderful speech, that was symbolic of the nations turning against. But thank God there's people like you that are realizing that no matter what was said in the past, these are our ancestors. We owe them so very much. If it were not for the Jewish people, we would not have the Torah. And from the Torah, we get the New Testament, and especially the parables of Jesus. All of those come out of the Torah. We wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have the prophets. We wouldn't have the writings. We wouldn't have history. So much we have, and we're finally learning that we have a debt to Israel.
We will take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more with Pastor Robbie Coleman, who was in Israel on October 7th, and how his choice or his calling to go to Israel is kind of tied to this situation we're in today. We'll be back.
Keeping you up to date with the latest news and weather. It's what we do every day.
It's the news I trust.
North Georgia's News Talk. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
I'm willing to wager that when you cook, you don't skimp on quality. At Loretta's Country Kitchen, we don't either. This is Grant Nichols at Loretta's, where we use only the best ingredients, including Springer Mountain chicken tenders, canned sauces, Hormel bacon, and Jimmy Dean sausage. It's also why we make our biscuits from scratch every day. We don't compromise on quality, and neither should you. Enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner with us, and bring your friends. Loretta's Country Kitchen, Monday Mill Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, a Hall County citizen files a complaint against the Planning and Zoning Commission for alleged meetings being held without proper public notice. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
2 years ago, I was at Kafr Aza. I'm back here again 2 years later. It's almost as ugly today as it was 2 years ago, when there was still blood streaming from every wall and in every house in this wonderful little kibbutz that once housed 1,000 people. Now virtually no one lives here because they can't. What happened on October the 7th was a cruel, vicious, blood-curdling atrocity in which children, young families, were viciously massacred, mutilated, and humiliated by the acts of the savages of Hamas.
That's Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel for the United States and a pastor. We're here with Pastor Robbie Coleman. And Robbie, I wanted you to kind of tell the story about how you decided to spend the rest of your life ministering in Israel.
Martha, I pastored, and most of that was here in Hall County for over 30 years. And as I knew that time of my life was winding down, I was in a local sandwich shop in Oakwood. All of a sudden, I noticed everybody in the restaurant starting to clap and carry on. I looked up to the screen to see what they were looking at, and I saw trucks of IDF soldiers loading residents of Gaza, Jewish residents, into a truck and taking them away from their homes. Matter of fact, many of those people are still living in tents and caravans. And I saw them taking them out crying, and all of the people cheering, saying, "Oh, they're troublemakers, get them out, let's go on with life." And it blew my mind that anybody felt that way in all of the world, to see someone totally lose their land. And at that moment, my heart knit with the heart of Israelis. And we have been on a venture ever since to bring a little comfort to the struggle, the hurt, the pain, and to say to them, we love you and you are not alone. There are some Martha Zollers and some Robbie Colemans and some Hall Countyans that believe in you and want to help you.
And that was the beginning of the Hamas control of Gaza. And, many years passed, and you ended up being in Israel when this horrible attack happened. There's just so much work that needs to be done in this world. And we've been here before. There have been terrible times, and they always start with anti-Semitism. And I worry that there's, Van Jones said it over the weekend, who I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I agree with him on this. There are 1 billion young people that have been given the wrong history on this region, and they hate Israel. And in 10 years, they'll be managers, and in 20 years, they'll be running countries. And that's a big battle to fight.
And, I've kind of had my fill of that attitude. I've been there. I've seen it. Because of the work we do on the border, I've had generals take me down into bunkers and show me the videos of all that happened. And I don't tell a whole lot of that anymore because I really
don't want to remember it.
You
want to remember it, but you don't want to see it.
Yeah, and the more I talk about it, like I had one child that really got upset, and so I've kind of held back on some of it because I don't want to hurt vulnerable people. But it was terrible. I've lost patience with those people, but we need some more Charlie Kirks in our day to speak truth and to say, like I say, Israel changed my life. The anti-Semitism is absolutely crazy, Martha.
Well, and it doesn't mean you can't question things that Israel does, but we put them in a position that they, like any other world, any other conflict in the world, there's 500,000 Christians that have been killed in Africa. Okay, there's a lot of people that are being abused, and we hold Israel to a different standard, and that standard is one that almost no one can meet. We allow them to win the war, but we don't allow them to have peace. Yep. And that, is a problem. Now, it looks like we may have peace here. I know that Donald Trump is working very hard. President Trump is, and he's gotten Arab countries that have never weighed in before to weigh in on the side of Israel. And I think that's positive.
It's amazing what a negotiator that he is. I don't want to get too excited because I still
We know
don't
who he's dealing with.
Yeah, we know who he's dealing with, and they're such liars. But I plan to spend the rest of my days honoring the prophet Amos. And when he talked about the sins of Israel, and he talked about the repentance of Israel, and the last chapter and the last verse in the book of Amos, Amos said that God will bring them back to their land, and this time they will not leave it again. And I'm doing everything I can to help make that possible. We have bought tractors, we have bought cherry pickers, we've bought what we call the eye in the sky security systems. This week, our little tiny ministry put doors, $10,000 worth of doors on bomb shelters in people's homes so that they could go back to their homes. We're going to keep doing that. It doesn't matter what the world system might say about Israel.
Yeah, you're going to keep doing what you can do.
Yes.
That's what you have to do every day. And that's what all of us have to do. We can't all be Charlie Kirk. We can't all be some other person that you might respect that does big things. But we can do what we can do. That's why I wear this cross that has a Star of David with a cross in it, because I can't do everything, but I can do what I can do. I'm good at connecting people. I can do that. That's what we have to do, is find our gift and use it to the glory of God.
Well, and we're going to make a difference. And if you go to the New Testament, Jesus even made a statement in the, I think, 23rd, 24th chapter of Matthew. He said, when did we do these things? He said, as much as you've done it to the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me.
Robbie Coleman, thank you so much for being with us today. God bless you and your work.
Thank you, Martha.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something local. We'll be back.
Hey, it's Chuck Dowdle, and I'm looking for 25 Super Dog fans to go with me May 6th to Iceland with Colette and Peach State Bank and Trust. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach them how to call the dogs in Icelandic. We're going to see massive glaciers that sculpt mountains and valleys. We're going to see thundering waterfalls and plunging fjords. We're going to walk on a black volcanic sand beach, relax in the warm, mineral-rich water of the Sky Lagoon. And Colette has us covered, from arranging the flights, meals, hotels, and all the local experiences, allowing us to simply enjoy the journey. So call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit WDUNtravels.com to learn more.
Let me show you the world. Come away with me.
Presented by Colette, Peach State Bank and Trust, and WDUN. Go Dogs!
While technology has certainly changed the way people do business, it hasn't changed the way we treat our customers. It's Mike Cormier, and at Hardy Chevrolet, we are as committed to excellent customer service as the Hardys were when they started the business here in Gainesville over 4 decades ago. When it's time for a new or used vehicle, remember what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
For the playoff contender, Shane was the pain that never went away. Van Gisbergen is going to win the Bank of America Roval 400.
Now it's time to roll the dice in the round of 8 as NASCAR heads for Las Vegas for the South Point 400. We'll have it Sunday at 4:30 on North Georgia's home of NASCAR. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. President Trump demands Democrats reopen our government on day 7 of the shutdown with impact at the airports. The busy Hollywood Burbank Air Traffic Control Tower was unstaffed from 4 to 10 last night. Air traffic handed off to TRACON San Diego for lack of local controllers calling out. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy tells Fox it's tough without a paycheck.
I want our controllers to go to work. That's their job. They're important jobs. Eventually, they're going to get paid.
But we got to be honest, they're humans and they're under pressure.
President Trump says he will work with Democrats on health care if they reopen the government. The president hosting Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, who wants a better trade deal than their 50% metal tariffs and 25% on vehicles. Egyptian negotiators finalizing an Israel-Hamas peace deal on the 2-year anniversary of the Hamas slaughter in Israel. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a Hall County citizen has filed a complaint against the Planning and Zoning Commission for the county, alleging commissioners held a meeting and conducted county business without a public notice, agenda, or meeting minutes. Jody White tells WDUN she witnessed 3 planning commissioners and 2 staff members gathering September 15th prior to a meeting, and then went to get another planning commissioner to check in with the situation.
That commissioner entered the room, and what he witnessed was 3 commissioners, 2 planning staff, which makes a quorum and makes that a meeting.
Holding a meeting without public notice violates Georgia's open meeting laws. Another Northeast Georgia law enforcement agency will join Hall County Sheriff's Office to utilize grants that combats dangerous travel conditions. WDUN's Lawson Smith explains.
The Governor's Office of Highway Safety has announced that the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office is one of the 26 enforcement agencies in Georgia to receive a Highway Enforcement of Aggressive Traffic grant for fiscal year 2026. Sheriff Ron Freeman and the FCSO will receive GOHS grants of nearly $137,000.
And Gainesville-based nonprofit Bloom Enterprises of Georgia announces the hiring of their new executive director. Dr. Christina Iyengar brings extensive education and health advocacy leadership to the role. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Hey, North Georgia. I hope you are having a lovely Tuesday morning. We'll continue with mainly cloudy skies, so more cloud cover than not. Plan on highs later on in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Blairsville, 64 degrees, Maysville, 66, and in Gainesville, 67. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It's football time, which means Thursday and Sunday take their rightful place as the best days of the week. Well, those 2 days just got better because now through October 26th, Keno has 30% higher payouts during bonus hours. Say it with me. Higher Keno payouts on Thursdays and Sundays during bonus hours. Win $500, it becomes $650. That's like getting extra field goal points for scoring a touchdown. So play Keno online and anywhere Keno is sold and get 30% higher payouts during bonus hours. Thursdays 6 to 8 p.m. and Sundays 1 to 3 p.m. Keno bonus hours only through October 26th and only from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check inside your ticket.
Play the Georgia Lottery anytime, anywhere, on any device with Powerball, Mega Millions, Keno, and more. Win up to $400,000 instantly with over 50 fun DigiGames. Play now at PlayDigi.com. That's PlayDigi.com.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I've known Bob Norton for a long time. He and our kids grew up together, and he's a Georgia Tech grad, which I won't hold against you because, you know, it's been a long time.
It has been a while.
It has been a while. And he is head of the insurance division of Norton Agency, correct? Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And he's just been a fixture in this community. He coached my son in football. I think my son wore the T-shirt he gave him until it was shredded to nothing. It was called Full Speed. I don't know if you remember those T-shirts.
I do. Yes, that was a slogan I came up with because we were all walking around, and I said, no, we're going to play full speed. So.
Yeah, and Ricky, it was so funny because Ricky got pulled out of a game, and I still remember this. He was an angry kid, and he pulled his everything off, and he had that full speed T-shirt because he was so mad. But he's doing great, and now he has children, Bob. So he's getting to go through all those things himself.
I hope his children are full speed.
That's right, absolutely. But Bob has decided to run for city council, and it's a little bit complicated because it's not the exact cycle that everything else is going to be voted on in November. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that today. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So tell us about your run for city council and how that all came about.
Well, as I have progressed in my career, other people are starting to take some of the responsibilities off me from my job. So my job now more is an advisor role. So I have time on my hands. And this summer, when I had heard that Danny Dunnigan wasn't going to run for re-election, I called him and said, Danny, I'm thinking about putting my hat in the ring. And he said, well, I decided that I am going to run. And so I supported him, and I think he's done a marvelous job of helping us grow our city. And
he's a great manager.
He is.
Yeah.
He is very dedicated to our city. So, I had sort of put that on the back shelf and said, I'll support you, Danny. And then when I heard that he had developed some health issues and had resigned, I sat down, started thinking about it again, and it's something that I have a passion for, this town. This city has been so good to my family for 3 generations. We've been a part of the growth. We've watched it. My children are products of this town. And I felt like this was an opportunity for me to give back. So I said that I am going to run.
So this is going to be a special election, folks. So when you go in November, you won't see Bob's name on the ballot. This special election is going to be in May of next year?
It's May, yes.
May of next year. So be aware of that, I think, because it's really important. But if you look out here on this square, Bob, I mean, when Lynn grew up here but left and then came back. And so we came back in like 91. His parents came back in 81. They had been his dad had been transferred to a job out in California, and so they were gone for just a small period of time, about 10 years. In fact, Mrs. Zoller said that was all she was going to give California was 10 years, and then she wanted to go back to Georgia. So they ended up going back, and they lived on Bruce Drive, and it was so funny because they bought that lot, I think, for $50,000 back in the day, and it's one of those really nice grass to the water's edge. And everybody thought they were crazy because that was so much money back then, $50,000 for a lot. And then they built the house and lived there for 40 years. And like a lot of people, made a lot of money on that house when they sold it a couple of years ago. But Gainesville's changed dramatically, even since I've moved here in 91. And a lot of people are concerned about growth and how that meshing between city and county, you know what I mean? Because it is an interesting dance that we have between the city and the county.
It is, and Gainesville is the pass-through city from the north. Frank and I were talking yesterday about Atlanta. Being a Georgia Tech graduate, it's on the downtown connector. That's where 85 and 75 merge. And it's always busy.
Yes.
And there is no solution to it because they've merged 2 major highways or interstates into one to try to get through the city. And that's basically what's happening now. If you see growth north of town, you see growth up Thompson Bridge Road, you see growth up Cleveland Highway, and both of those 2 roads merge into Green Street. So that is choking us to death. In addition to that, on the other side, we have Brownsbridge Road and Dawsonville Highway, and anyone trying to get north or from 985 north has to come through town. So I am a proponent of smart growth. I'm a proponent of economic development. But I think what we have to do is take a strong look at the future 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, and what do we need to do today in order to position ourselves to be able to handle whatever is going to come our way.
You know, about a week ago, there was that tree that came down on Green Street and created a huge problem. I mean, your office is right there. I'm sure y'all were right in the middle of it. I had an appointment at 3 o'clock that got shut down for something that a project. I do this podcast called TMI with Terrell and Martha, and it's a wellness podcast, and we record on Green Street, and we have a great time doing that. But everything was shut down, and I can't tell you the number of calls I got the next day. What are we going to do about Green Street? What are we going to do about Green Street? Do you feel comfortable with the plan that's in place now? Because they're talking about putting a roundabout, all this kind of stuff. What do you think about that? Because I'm sure you were involved in that negotiation in some way.
Not really involved in it. Frank handles most of that from me. But when you go down Green Street and you look at the markings now, the stakes in the ground, I'm concerned, gravely concerned, because economic development is important. We've got to make sure that whatever happens to our city, we don't lose our identity. When you go through the great towns in the state, those towns have a Green Street. They have a city center. And what makes them so great is the majestic trees and these beautiful homes on this road. To do what they're talking about doing, every one of the trees in front of every office on Green Street will be removed. The right-of-way purchases will take place, and then they're talking about putting sidewalks in, and it's concerning to me. My preference would be to use diffuser roads. When you look at Atlanta as an example, back in the day when I was in school, West Peachtree was 2 ways. Spring Street was 2 ways, and what they did is they made each one of those roads one-way roads. Without having to buy right-of-way, they actually figured out a way to move traffic without having to continue to just widen and widen and widen roads. The purchase of right-of-way is expensive. Would it be better to take a master look at that traffic flow and try to figure out how to get moving traffic from one side of the town to another without using one road?
I like what you're saying a lot, and I agree with you, because I don't want to lose the character of Green Street, and is it a done deal? I mean, if you were to be elected to the city council, could you impact that?
Well, first of all, I think they've gone down the road pretty far now. The city will tell you, and they're right, they don't own Green Street. It's a DOT road.
That's correct.
And the DOT has set aside some money, but they're going to want to know what the city is willing to do to put money in themselves. I don't know. I'm just now throwing my hat in the ring, and I'm learning so much. But what concerns me is that we've built a great town that people want to come to. And just taking a look at the development on the square and seeing the activity on the square on weekends, it's amazing. The transformation over the last 10 years is just unbelievable.
So I serve on the State Board of Education with a guy by the name of Rich Valadares, who is a attorney who has 4 sons that are like in the 18 to 26-year-old range. Okay, God bless him, because I had 3 boys that fell in that range. They come here on the weekends to do things. Did you ever think you would see the day that young men that live in North Atlanta would think coming to Gainesville was the cool thing to do on the weekend?
No. But it's exciting to see because,
yes.
I have 3 older children, and none of them chose to come home because there was really nothing to come home to. And so we've built this great town. We have an amazing lake. We have entertainment venues now, and there are things to do for young people. And so that is, I'd like to see that continue and not erode it by trying to become some urban town that becomes where we lose that identity.
Absolutely. And I have the same problem. I have 4 kids, and none of them chose to live here because there was nothing going on when they got to the point in or they thought there was nothing going on. And now when they come back to visit, like we always do the Petite Le Mans, all the kids come home for that. That's something Lynn does with them every year. I take care of the little kids, and then they, the kids that are old enough and them go to the Petite Le Mans, and they come back and they go, wow, Gainesville's really changed. Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
It really has. So if people want to help you with this, how can they do it?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
So, I don't. My role in government would be to be practical and pragmatic. It's not necessarily to be a roadblock, because I think the city has done a great job. I truly do. There were a lot of people who were not happy with the decision of the city to sell some property across the bridge to nowhere, which has now suddenly become a bridge to a really vibrant opportunity to grow Midland. So I think the city has done a great job, and I don't know what plans they have. I haven't heard the ideas behind. Maybe they've already studied some of these things. So I'm not one to say
Try to reinvent
I'm going to
the
come
wheel.
in here
Yeah.
and be disruptive. I just want to be practical and pragmatic.
Well, Bob Norton, thank you so much for coming in today. And I guess you don't have a website yet or any of that kind of stuff.
No, and I don't know if anyone will
So
be running
call them at
against
the
me.
Norton Agency.
Yeah, please call me at the Norton Agency.
Thank you for being with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
We've gotten to be grown-ups. How did that happen? We'll be back.
In North Georgia,
The topics that matter to me.
we're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
How often have you shaken your head and said it's awful when bad things happen to good people? Well, what can we do to provide good things? Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15 tells us that the way of the fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. Verse 25 reminds us that anxiety in the heart causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. 5 minutes with the news shows us the evil and despair in the world. It's worth the effort to discern the good around us and to thank God for it. Let's leave a generous tip or a kind word today. Let's look back on our prayer time and note the difference our attitude likely made to others and to ourselves. This is Mike Martin of Milton Martin Toyota, hoping that all your days bring blessings.
Are you a veteran? Was your spouse a veteran? The VA might have some money for you. Hi, I'm Haley Brock, one of the attorneys at Kimbrough Law. The VA Pension Aid and Attendance Benefit can pay more than $32,000 a year. That's every year, tax-free. Most people have no idea that the VA Pension Aid and Attendance Benefit even exists. As a result, millions of veterans are missing out on extra money each month. I don't want you to be one of them. And it's not just that veterans don't know about this benefit. There are misconceptions about VA benefits that could be keeping you from getting money you've earned, money you deserve. If you're over 65 and you were in the service during a wartime period, or if you're married to someone who served during a wartime period, call Kimbrough Law. We will see if you qualify, and if you do, we'll help you apply. For more information, call 706-850-6910 or go to kimbroughslaw.net. That's 706-850-6910 or kimbroughslaw.net.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a Duluth woman is reported missing since late September in Gwinnett County. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
And a live look at the Senate floor right now, where a vote just failed to reopen the government. That means the shutdown continues. It's time to...
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and kind of a weird thing happened with the Senate vote yesterday that I'm going to try to explain to you. But first, we've got a call from Joni, who wanted to comment on Jody White. Sorry, I said Joni. Jody White I want to kind of talk a little bit about the story that we broke yesterday relating to the Planning Commission. Jody, how are you?
Good. How are you today, Martha?
Good. So give us the background.
So my background is I run a group called Hall Informed, and my goal is to bring citizens and government together. I would like for more of our citizens here in Hall County to get involved, and our citizens and our government to work together. So I find I rely on a lot of laws that we have, and one of them just has to be the Sunshine Law, which is open meetings and open records acts. And I was talking with another citizen, Tyler Crawford was the citizen, and he had mentioned he was in the government building and he had seen some government officials in a meeting before a planning meeting, and I thought that was very odd. So I am one of these people. I go myself, and I find out. So the next week I went myself, and I actually witnessed what was going on, broke our Open Meetings Act. So I then went and I used our Open Records Act in that Sunshine Law and got video footage and figured out there was actually a quorum of 3 commissioners and 2 planning officials having an unofficial meeting, which breaks your Open Meetings Act, your Sunshine Law Act. And for a citizen, that's very concerning. At that point, I contacted who I felt was the best, because I do sit in all of these meetings, and I noticed that Mr. Shannon Davison was never really on point with the rest. So I contacted Mr. Shannon Davison that day, and I said, hey, I think there's something going on that's not right. Could you help me out with this? And Mr. Davison showed up, and Mr. Davison opened the door to the conference room and confirmed what I had believed was going on, that there was a meeting going on before official meetings. And I just want to have our citizens know this and have our citizens get involved and start asking more questions and know that your voice is heard. That's kind of how I feel.
Well, that sounds great. And thank you for doing that and being involved, because so many times, and I say this all the time, you've heard me say this, that the big problem I think we have in local government is that people they're busy and they don't hear about it till it's already happened. The vote's already been taken. And once the vote's already taken, there's nothing you can do about it. So we need people that are going to hold folks accountable, because every single person can't do what you do. Okay. I mean, they could, but it's a time, time, love, and tenderness kind of thing, where everybody can't be involved in that way. So I appreciate your involvement in this, and we'll see what happens, as the day progresses.
Yes, and it will be, the meeting is at 6:00 tonight. Our commissioners have to vote on that. There has been something filed with our Attorney General, and I did file that, and I just want people to look out, because we do have some of these commissioners that are on that board that are running for bigger and better seats. And when you're making that vote, I am all about, I don't care who you vote for or how you vote and make an educated vote.
Absolutely.
So I just want people to know that, watch who has done what they've done and broken this law, and see if that's who you really want for your bigger and better seat.
Jody White, thank you so much for calling in today and for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. You have a great day.
Thank you. And we've gotten a lot of messages about what Bob said about Green Street. Bob Norton said about Green Street. There are a lot of people that are very interested in the conversation that he's having. Or that he put out there. So I think that was really good to have him on. And what I loved about that interview I just did with Bob Norton is that I really think he's running for this office for the right reasons. I think that he does not have any agenda except to kind of be thoughtful and bring different discussions to the table. And I think that's different, and I kind of like it. So we'll see how it all plays out as things move on. Now, yesterday, the United States Senate got back into session, and they had a couple of votes yesterday. One was 50 to 45, which meant 5 people didn't vote. And okay, those 5 people that didn't vote were Democrats. And there were 3 Democrats that voted with the Republicans, but there were 5 people that didn't vote. Okay, they did the vote another time, and it was 52 to 42, which is 6 people, if I'm doing my math right, did not vote. Okay, so this particular shutdown is going on, but there is some movement. It isn't the movement that Steve Moore talked about, where he was looking for a couple of more Democrats to vote with the Republicans. That's not the movement that happened. There are 5 or 6 Democrats that are having discussions. I don't know with who. I don't know what they're talking about. Okay, but there is some movement on this front. So what I understand is going to happen is there will be votes taken every day. And also what I'm understanding is you are making a difference. These red state Democrats are getting flooded with phone calls telling them to vote with the Republicans, and we need to keep it up. So in our case, we have 2 red state Democrats, Warnock and Ossoff. And if I were a betting woman, I think Ossoff's going to change his vote because he's up for re-election and Warnock will not. Okay, that's just what I think. But keep calling. Call their Atlanta office. You can call their D.C. office if you want to, but you'll make more of an impact calling their Atlanta office. Then look at your friends and neighbors that live in other states. And if they live in a state where they're a red state that voted for Trump but have a Democratic senator, don't you call that Democratic senator, because if your zip code doesn't match their state, they're going to throw that phone message in the trash. You got to reach out to your friend and say, hey, would you call Senator so-and-so? And I'm going to make you a promise. If we don't get to a end of this shutdown by tomorrow, I'm going to have a list of those red state senators that are Democrats so I can give you their names. And I'll also have the phone number for the Atlanta offices of our senators. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
What if I'm survived by a spouse with dementia or in a nursing home? Will they be protected? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've been helping people in your situation for over 35 years. And I can help you protect your loved ones when the time comes. But you need to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharpwithane.com and learn how to get help planning for the future of your loved ones. That's kevintharpwithane.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
A historic betrayal of public trust. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Attorney General Pam Bondi just told senators at a hearing, that during the Biden administration, the FBI
secretly investigated you and your colleagues. Why? They wanted to take President Trump off the playing field.
That surveillance dates back to Special Counsel Jack Smith, who the president, a Truth Social post, calls a sleazebag. In the investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot, Smith tracked the phone records of 9 Republican senators.
This is the kind of conduct that shatters the American people's faith in our law enforcement system.
But Democratic Senator Dick Durbin just told Bondi the opposite is happening, that it's the FBI weaponizing government now.
Our nation's top law enforcement agency has become a shield for the president and his political allies.
And he's critical of the hundreds of pardons President Trump gave those convicted in the Capitol riot.
Jared Weiss was filmed on January 6th, encouraging his fellow rioters to attack the Metropolitan Police Department officers. And he said, F them, kill them. What happened to Mr. Weiss? He's been hired by you as a senior advisor.
And Durbin and Bondi just had a back and forth moments ago about the Trump crackdown on crime and protests over immigration raids.
The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
The National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Now, a federal judge has already blocked the president from sending troops to Portland, Oregon. Today marks 2 years since the Hamas terror attack in Israel, killing nearly 1,200 people, taking more than 250 hostage, triggering the war in Gaza. Israel and Hamas are in indirect talks today in Egypt on a ceasefire plan.
Part of phase one, the release of 48 hostages by Hamas, 20 of whom who are believed to be alive. In return, Israel expected to release 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences.
That's Fox's Steve Harrigan in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a complaint has been filed against the Hall County Planning and Zoning Commission alleging commissioners had held a meeting and conducted county business without a public notice, agenda, or meeting minutes. A Hall County citizen filed a complaint September 18th, claiming that she witnessed 3 planning commissioners and 2 staff members improperly meeting September 15th.
The county's been made aware of it, and the Hall County staff is working very diligently to handle everything.
And that's Commissioner Greg Poole speaking in WDUN's Drive at 5, and says that the Hall County Board of Commissioners will vote on potential action regarding the issue during their voting session this evening. Authorities in Rabun County have released details behind a September 30th kidnapping case that led to the suspect's arrest in Towns County. WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
The agency says 31-year-old Austin Fleming left his car unattended and entered the victim's vehicle at their residence. Fleming made his presence known as the victim was driving and instructed them to drive him to his vehicle, then follow him to a secondary location. He also told the victim he was armed and took their electronic device. After Fleming was brought to his vehicle, the victim began to follow him, but pulled over to report the incident to a deputy. The alert was then issued for Fleming and his vehicle, which led to him being apprehended in Towns County.
One candidate for the Gainesville City School System District 2 seat shared his goals ahead of the November 4th special election. Trey McFall and Amy Kerr have announced campaigns for the seat, which was left vacant by Chris Nordholtz, who resigned in June because he moved out of District 2. Now, McFall has shared why he believes he should be elected to the role.
I have served in a multitude of board positions with different roles, cross-sections of the community. I think all of those things combined bring a really broad outlook on how things can be done and how they can be solved.
McFall says he plans to prioritize equitable access to education, teacher retention, communication, and school safety. And Gainesville-based nonprofit Bloom Enterprises of Georgia has announced the hiring of their new executive director. Dr. Christina Iyengar brings her extensive education of health advocacy leadership, public health education, and project management certificates to the job with Bloom. And Dr. Iyengar says she looks forward to advancing opportunities for individuals with disabilities and further enhancing the Bloom's 3 inclusive programs and building initiatives. More news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Hey, North Georgia. I hope you are having a lovely Tuesday morning. We'll continue with mainly cloudy skies. Plan on highs later on in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Winder, 68 degrees, Clayton, 64, and in Gainesville, 67. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System Studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Program completely free to any military, veteran, or active duty military. We have 20 different locations that are currently doing the program in the spring and in the fall. And those programs are 6 weeks of clinics taught by PGA professionals. After the clinics, we now have a new initiative called our PGA Hope Tour, where we have 6 events at some exclusive clubs that are across our region that veterans get to participate in.
So I love the sound of that hitting of a golf ball, okay? I am not a golfer, okay? I go to the driving range every now and then with my husband, and he actually said, "You're not that bad. Your dad should have gotten you some golf lessons when you were young." But I love the game of golf, and I love watching. And when I was watching the Ryder Cup a couple of weeks ago, I heard this ad for organization called PGA Hope, which is something for veterans. And you know how I love veterans. And, you know, I am just so happy to welcome Patrick Forrestal, who is the representative for this area for PGA Hope. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Martha.
Now tell us your story.
Sure. So I'm a Georgia native. I grew up down south in Albany, Georgia. And then after high school, I went to the Naval Academy. So I went up to Annapolis, spent 4 years there, got to play football there, had a really good experience. And upon graduation, joined the Marine Corps. So I spent a little over 5 years on active duty in the Marine Corps, mostly stationed out in San Diego. And when I was deciding to get out of the military, I had a desire to come back closer to home. So my wife and I moved to Atlanta 3 years ago, settled here. I went back to school and got my MBA at Emory. And, you know, I've just really enjoyed being in Atlanta the last 3 years. And how I got introduced to PGA Hope, you know, as I was transitioning out of the military, I was looking for a community and some, you know, trying to get plugged back into sports. You know, I really enjoyed playing football, but football doesn't translate to the business world super well, but golf does. And it was a great opportunity for me to be able to get out in the community, be around other veterans. And so I've been really fortunate to be involved with them for a little over 2 years now here in Atlanta.
And, you know, I think it is that a lot of people think of golf, and this is something the PGA is working really hard on, is they think it's a rich man's game, right? They think it's really hard to play, which it is a very hard game, but that it's not that easy. But you go in a place like Hall County, for example, we've got, you know, great public courses here. There's a lot of great public courses all over the place. So this is a great way to actually outreach the game of golf, but also help veterans.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think one thing that really just opened, I think COVID, you know, 2020, a lot of people started getting out and golfing. I think golf has really exploded since then. And like you said, it's not only just a rich man's game anymore, but Georgia has so many great public courses that people can get out and play. And yeah, PGA Hope is just such a great organization for our veterans. Offers 6 weeks of free lessons to really teach the game and you know, get them playing the right way where they feel confident going on these courses. And then, you know, they do a bunch of extension activities too. So we host a lot of different days at the driving range, chances to get out and play different courses across Georgia, get people together. So it's really a great benefit. And like you said, it's just, I think, opening the door for more people to get involved in the game.
So is it an adaptable game? Because there's a lot of levels of, you know, there are veterans that don't have any physical problems. Maybe they just have mental issues or nothing at all. But then there's veterans that have, you know, prosthetic legs and things like that. Is it an adaptable game?
Absolutely. And all of the PGA instructors that lead these HOPE programs, they're certified to be able to lead the HOPE program. And part of that is being able to help veterans, play the game and meet them where they are. So whether they, whatever injury they might be carrying with them, our instructors are ready to kind of teach them how to adapt to that injury. And so, yeah, it definitely is. You see some great stories of people out there overcoming a lot of different situations, and I think that's what's it's really cool to see how different people can get involved in the game.
Yeah, and what I love about the game really is that it is a very friendly game. It's got a lot of nice rules. I know we saw a little issue at the Ryder Cup with the way some of the fans behaved, but in general, that is the exception. It is not the rule. It's usually a group of people that are having a good time at an event, and it's a very nicely behaved crowd, as well as a lot of great guys and gals that play the game. So I think I'm excited about where the PGA is going. I'm not a huge LIV fan, I'll admit that. I'm more loyal to the PGA, but I think it's good to have golf in a lot of different venues.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's definitely fun. Once people get in the game, they get more, paying attention to the big events on the weekends, the Ryder Cups and whatnot. And like you said, I think it's just a great way to get, together with other people. I'm a big proponent for getting outside and spending time outdoors. And golf's just a great way to stay physical, keep mentally sharp, and do it while having fun with other people. So I think it's a great sport. It's great for veterans to get involved, to be able to kind of find camaraderie and community outside of the military when they're transitioning.
So if people want to know more about PGA Hope or any of the other programs that the PGA has to be outreach in golf, how can they do that?
Yeah, so PGA Hope falls under the umbrella of PGA Reach. So if you go to pgareach.org, you can see a lot of information. And specifically to Georgia, you can go to pgareachgeorgia.org to find a lot of information about PGA Hope, programs near you, and what all they offer. And I think you'll find my email on there. You can get in touch with me or another member of the staff, and we'd love to get connected, get you plugged in, and answer any questions people might have.
Patrick Forrestal, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Martha. Have a great one.
Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we got open phones for the rest of the program and a lot of messages from you. We'll be back.
On Tuesday's edition of The Drive at 5, we'll hear from some folks with the State Parks Department about when the fall leaf colors may be peaking in Northeast Georgia. Join us at 5 o'clock here on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Mark your calendars for a taste of the past and a vision for our future. On Thursday, October 9th, the Northeast Georgia History Center presents Taste of History 2025 at the Gainesville Civic Center. Our theme, Looking Back, Moving Forward, invites you to enjoy lunch, hear a discussion on our local heritage, and take a peek at upcoming History Center projects. To reserve a spot or learn about sponsorships, contact the History Center at negahc.org. Taste of History 2025, where community, history, and hope come together.
Good food and good folks make a good meal. You bring the folks and we'll take care of the food. This is Grant Nichols. At Loretta's Country Kitchen, we use only top quality ingredients like our new Springer Mountain chicken tenders. They're bigger than other tenders and are locally raised, so they're always fresh. Speaking of fresh, we have an entire walk-in cooler dedicated just to fresh produce. That's why we say at Loretta's, it's all good. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mill Road in Oakwood.
You've got meals to plan, children to ferry from practice to ball games, shopping and dusting, and good grief. Give yourself a break and take your laundry to Townview Coin Laundry. Take your comforters, quilts, blankets, and mattress covers. They'll wash, dry, and fold your laundry, or you can use their industrial-sized machines. Townview Coin Laundry saves wear and tear on your washer and dryer and on you too. Get the stains out at Townview Coin Laundry at the corner of Bradford Street and College Avenue in downtown Gainesville, open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Cold weather will be here before you know it. At the same time, power outages are on the rise. So here's an important question. If the power goes out when it's really cold, do you have a way to stay warm? If not, you've got to check out the Avesta off-grid space heater from My Patriot Supply. It's a compact, portable space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. It's completely off-grid, and it can heat up a 200 square foot room in a matter of minutes. With a Vestas stashed in your closet, you can rest easy, knowing you and your family will stay warm, even if the power goes out. Plus, it doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food without electricity or propane. The best part is, you can get a Vesta and a bunch of other free gifts when you order the Winter Prep Special from My Patriot Supply. Just go to mypatriotsupply.com to see everything included. This offer won't last long, and neither will this nice fall weather, so go to mypatriotsupply.com today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Forsyth County Sheriff's Office joins more than 25 other law enforcement agencies statewide in receiving heat grants. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, it can't partially accept it. It has to accept it in full, and especially the first part that has to get underway. That's what moves everything towards a resolution of the conflict. If they do, if we actually set up a civilian administration in Gaza that doesn't educate its children to hate Israel, to try to destroy Israel, to kill Jews everywhere, in other words, to de-radicalize Gaza, not only to demilitarize it, not only to disarm Hamas, but to de-radicalize Gaza, as was done in Germany after World War II or in Japan, then yes, then I think the whole region can have a much more positive and peaceful future. And by the way, I think that if that happens, I think we'll have many more peace deals of the kind that I had done with President Trump and Arab leaders in the Abraham Accords. We can expand the Abraham Peace Accords to include other countries in the Middle East and Muslim countries beyond the Middle East.
So it's an interesting statement, and he also talks later in that interview about, who the senior partner and who the junior partner is in this relationship with Donald Trump. And obviously he says Donald Trump is the senior partner. He is the junior partner. And so that ultimately he's going to defer to, what President Trump is able to accomplish. And it's an interesting time that we live in. Listen, I got a couple of messages related to Bob Norton's appearance here. And also I want to remind folks that we are on YouTube. And if you go to Access WDUN on YouTube and like and subscribe, you can watch the show. I don't know if you'll like what you see, but you can watch the show. A question came in with Bob's insurance and real estate background. Just curious to see if he sees the community evolve into a renter's community. And I like that he's still listening rather than proposing good stance to take. And so obviously we can't get the answer to that question today, but that is a big concern that I think a lot of people have. And we got another message that said, I will help do whatever it takes for them not to destroy the historical look of Green Street. Taking down the trees would do that. And, I'm hoping too that there's going to be an opportunity for people to keep discussing this, because if we're going to do something to Green Street, it's going to be permanent. So it's okay, I think, to take more time to be sure you get it right. And I know there's a lot of people that don't want to take alternative routes, but I think after last week, you saw a lot of people find some alternative routes to get you off of Green Street. And I think that honestly, folks, if you can do it, you should do it. We also got a message from someone that said, I work at a large employer in Hall County, and we just had a layoff of 211 employees, and possibly more to come if the economy doesn't crank up. I totally support our president and his mission, but we are hurting. I'm in the middle of building a new home in North Hall. What are your thoughts about our economic future? Is there anything Trump can do to improve things? And maybe a little backstory will help. It's a large consumer of steel and aluminum in our production. We had to raise prices for the first time in 12 years due to the increase in steel and aluminum prices. And, I'm trying to place what company this might be, and I certainly don't want to put that out there if you're not ready for that. But I think the economy, look, I want to be let me step back here. I'm nervous about tariffs just like everybody else is. I would have much preferred tariffs be used as a tool to get people to do the right thing rather than as a tool to punish trade. I understand what the president is doing related to trying to get things equal, because for years there are countries that were charging huge tariffs on our goods to come into their country, but we weren't charging them to come into our country. So I understand some of it. Do I think it's probably gone too far? Yes. We're going to have to wait on it. We also have this discussion about what to do with the tariff money. I don't think we should give it back in a rebate. The president said yesterday he'd like to do both, and I would strongly say to him, Mr. President, that's the wrong answer on that. What we need to do, if we have any revenue that's unexpected, which is what tariffs are, we need to reduce the debt. Because the more you reduce the debt, the better you're going to make the economy overall. And the more you reduce interest rates, the more you're going to make the economy better overall. Because in some industries, like this aluminum and steel industry, there is tariffs and still high inflation, and interest rates haven't come down that much. So it's a problem every way you look at it. So I'm just going to say, just like other people are saying, I'm not a person that thinks you can't criticize the people that you agree with most of the time, because nobody agrees with anybody all the time. And I am nervous about the direction the tariffs are taking us. And I do believe that President Trump can walk and chew gum at the same time, and he can work on multiple things. He's shown that. But even Donald Trump can do too many things at one time. And I know he's got Susie Wiles around him and other people around him that he listens to and respects. So hopefully he's taking that. But all in all, I'm very happy. But there's going to be more stories like this gentleman, I'm assuming it's a man, this person that sent the message in about the company that was laying off. Let's go to the phones now at 770-535-2911 and talk to Tom in Westfield. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good, Martha. Hey, is my Bluetooth working? Can you hear me okay?
Pretty good. It's a little foggy, but it's okay.
Hey, I agree. The billions and billions in tariffs to reinvest in the economy for forward, progressive, upward mobility.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the debt reduced with the money. That's what ought to happen to it.
Right. Right. And to be clear, when you say if there's any money, there should be a fortune. This is going to be his first test to see what he does with the money. And Mark, I think it's important to remember on the 2-year anniversary today, I'm getting away from the traffic. There's almost 76,000 innocent people that are deceased. And if you look at this historically, it's our last and final lesson to learn that if it's Hamas, Sons of Al-Qaeda, or ISIS, or President Obama said ISIL, allowing mercenaries to create meaningful opposition, to creep up to a fence in Israel that a cat can't walk near, and all those atrocious, vicious, violent acts that we witness is unacceptable. It's an abhorrent and blatantly evil use of manipulation and creating meaningful opposition. And the outcome is 2 years, 76,000 innocent people, tens of thousands of innocent children starving to death. This has to be our last hurrah at allowing this to happen. There are no winners in war, and if Halliburton and people making military contract money are the only beneficiaries, we have to ask ourselves, is this the kind of investment?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, and thank you for your call today. But the point is, first of all, we put together a pretty good operation that got food to people. I can't control the fact that Hamas was taking the food and selling it back to the Palestinians. And Robbie Coleman was telling me that they're still shooting anybody that doesn't agree with them. Hamas is, okay? And this thing would not have happened if they had not attacked Israel, okay? And we cannot forget that. And the international community has got to stop with this business of trying to orchestrate a pretty war, okay? There's no such thing as a pretty war. And yes, there's a lot of innocent people that died, but did they die because the IDF came in? Or did they die because the Hamas cowards hid in tunnels while civilians in the buildings above their tunnels were hit. There's war is messy. And if you're not going to be willing to see the mess, then you shouldn't go to war. I agree with you about that. And I do think that I buy the whole military-industrial complex. Everybody's making money off of this. But Israel would have loved to finish the war in 6 months, and they could have if they had been allowed to do it the way they wanted to do it. But they are held to different standards than anybody else that fights a war. And I think that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to understand. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. Look, I think that we've got a lot of hard work to do to change people, because there are a billion young people that have been taught to think that Israel's bad. And Israel is a elected democracy. And if you can look at the situation between Israel and Gaza and think there's a clear winner and loser, or a clear bad guy and good guy, you're not really a real person, because there's a lot of bad people in Gaza. There's a lot of people that cooperated, including workers for the UN, that cooperated in this attack. And there are also people that didn't do what they should have done in Israel, but you know about those things because the IDF actually reported them themselves. And so we've got to hopefully get to peace here. What I'm praying for is peace. And just think about this. Okay, think about this. Imagine it was October 6, 2023. The people that Hamas came in and murdered were the people most likely to be on their side. And I don't mean Hamas's side, but I mean the side of the Palestinians. These folks were living in the kibbutzes close to this border because they were open, in many cases, to a two-state solution, and they were doing lots of things to help Palestinians, taking them back and forth to the doctor, helping them get back and forth to their jobs if they had work permit. These were the most liberal people on their views on Palestinians that lived in these kibbutzes. And the Nova Music Festival was a festival promoting peace, and they had it close to the border because they wanted to show the Gazan people that they wanted peace. And these were the people that Hamas came across and slaughtered. And for me, I can't get past that to see the good in them. I just can't. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
Aren't you glad that cooler weather and the fall planting season is here? This is Kelly, and Full Bloom Nursery is stocking up on beautiful mums and fall annuals. Plus, we're fully stocked with 4 acres of perennial shrubs and trees. Since 2003, Full Bloom Nursery has been helping customers all over North Georgia. To get started on your projects, give us a call at 678-616-3035. Visit fullbloomnursery.com for more info, and be sure to like us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B? Yeah. Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe.
Tune in to 2 hours of local football fun with the Pick'em Show, coach interviews, game previews, and general mayhem. So join Bo, Caleb, Jeff, and Walker Thursday nights at 6 on AM 550 and FM 102.9, or video stream them on YouTube at Access WDUN Sports. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. The FBI accuses former special counsel Jack Smith of tracking private communications of some members in the upper chamber.
Republican senators are outraged, if not downright furious with the FBI after they learned that some of their calls were also probed as part of the investigation into January 6th, where senators were basically finding out where these people were calling and where they were calling from.
Fox's Mark Meredith. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson was allegedly among those singled out.
Expose this so that the American people really do understand who and what party is the threat to democracy. Here's a hint. It's not Republicans.
A senator on Fox Business, plenty of delays at airports due to the partial government shutdown.
Don't shut it down and affect our airspace, our controllers. Again, it's a huge problem.
Charter Station Secretary Sean Duffy on Fox and Friends. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a Hall County citizen has filed a complaint against the Planning and Zoning Commission for the county, alleging commissioners held a meeting and conducted county business without a public notice, agenda, or meeting minutes. Jody White tells WDUN she witnessed 3 planning commissioners and 2 staff members gathering September 15th prior to a meeting, and then went to get another planning commissioner to check in with the situation.
That commissioner entered the room, and what he witnessed was 3 commissioners, 2 planning staff, which makes a quorum and makes that a meeting.
Holding a meeting without public notice violates Georgia's open meeting laws. Another Northeast Georgia law enforcement agency will join Hall County's Sheriff's Office to utilize grants that combats dangerous travel conditions. WDUN's Lawson Smith explains.
The Governor's Office of Highway Safety has announced that the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office is one of the 26 enforcement agencies in Georgia to receive a Highway Enforcement of Aggressive Traffic grant for fiscal year 2026. Sheriff Ron Freeman and the FCSO will receive GOHS grants of nearly $137,000.
And Gainesville-based nonprofit Bloom Enterprises of Georgia announces the hiring of their new executive director. Dr. Christina Iyengar brings extensive education and health advocacy leadership to the role. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Hey, North Georgia. I hope you are having a lovely Tuesday morning. We'll continue with mainly cloudy skies, so more cloud cover than not. Plan on highs later on in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Blairsville, 64 degrees, Maysville, 66, and in Gainesville, 67. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Buying a home just got 10 times more complicated. You need a professional broker by your side to help you through the process. New buyer, seller regulations, lengthy contracts, the crazy mortgage process, inspections, appraisal, and then closing. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money. Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Free Press is a news organization above all, so I'll get right to it. This morning, the Free Press is joining Paramount. I'm going to continue to lead this incredible community alongside my tireless team, remaining CEO and editor-in-chief of the Free Press, and of course, hosting this show. But as of today, I'll be taking on another title too. I'm now editor-in-chief of CBS News, working with new colleagues on the programs that have impacted American culture for generations. Shows like 60 Minutes and Sunday Morning, and also shaping how millions of Americans read, listen, watch, and most importantly, understand the news in the 21st century. The values that we've hammered out here over the years. Journalism based in curiosity and honesty. A culture of healthy disagreement, including in our newsroom. A shared belief in America's promise. Those values now have the opportunity to go very, very big.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Barry Weiss, who is very vindicated right now. She was fired from the New York Times. She launched an organization called the Free Press, where her first publication was her resignation letter to the New York Times. And she put together a news organization that questioned, that is old school, that tells the story, tells the facts, not from one point of view. And now she's head of CBS News. I'm so excited about this. And all a lot of people could say about her was that she was Jewish, which I think is ridiculous. And I don't mean that she should be ashamed of that, but that for some reason, because she's Jewish, she can't be fair, even though all of her work for her entire life shows that she can be fair. She does not get drawn off what she is looking at, and she brings great people together for discussion. So I say hooray to CBS News. I'll probably start watching again, and I will be willing to give her an opportunity to bring CBS News back to what they were, which was the leader in news in the world. And that's what her goal is. Now, you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. This was a story of a person that died on October 7th in Israel that I thought was really compelling. And there is no way to tell every story, but this is a story of sacrifice that I would be humbled if people would look at and say, could I do this? Could I do this? So a gentleman realized, his name was Shlomo, that terrorists had entered his home. So he left his protected room where he was with his family, and he sat down in the living room pretending that he lived alone. And he waited for them. When they saw him, they did not hesitate to shoot him, then rushed to continue the massacre and left the house. Shlomo saved his wife, daughters, and grandson by doing this. So if you can imagine being in a safe space with people running all through your neighborhood, going from house to house, killing people, and you think that the way you might be able to save your family is to go into your living room, pretend that you live alone, and then just wait. And he was killed immediately, but because they were convinced he lived alone and they were filled with their bloodlust, they went on to where they could find other people. Now, in the case of Eli Sharabi, he thought, and his book Hostage came out today, he thought by going with the kidnappers, but they knew he had a family too. Okay, this is the difference. Going with the kidnappers, that typically when Hamas takes hostages, they want to take military-age men. You know, they don't usually take women and children. And in this case, they didn't either. They mostly killed them. I mean, they did take some into captivity, but they raped and murdered and killed women and children. But he thought because his wife and children had British passports, that they would be okay. And so they died with their British passports in their hand in their safe room because they breached the safe room. And they were screaming, according to accounts, and there's GoPro camera film of this, we're British citizens. We're British citizens. We're not Jewish. And I don't know if they converted to Judaism or not, or if he was raising his family. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're not Jewish. They didn't care. They killed him anyway. And I just don't understand the concept of killing women and children indiscriminately. You know, people say, well, the IDF does it. No, they don't. They send text messages and leaflets and flyers and warnings that, hey, get out because we're coming, and we're going to assume if you stay behind, you're a combatant. Most war fighters don't do that, okay? That is like unheard of. And, you know, that has slowed down the war because they're giving people days, weeks, months to get out of certain areas before they go in. I do have great compassion for the hungry people in Gaza. Much of that hunger could have been avoided had Hamas not stolen and then either sold to other people or sold to Gazans the aid that was coming in. Because how do you make money when you're in the middle of a war? How can you pay for something if you're in the middle of a war? So Hamas does not care about the people of Gaza. In fact, 2 days ago, leading into these negotiations, one of the Hamas leaders on Arabic television, and you really should, even though it's going to make you angry, there's a website out there called Memory, that MEMRI, that you can see real interviews in Arabic. And this guy said, we celebrate everyone we killed on October 7th because it was a victory. And we think every death was deserved. There was also an interview with a guy in the UK who was being interviewed, and he was saying that, I don't understand why you say this is UK. Allah owns the whole world. Allah owns the UK. Allah will take over. So, and they were speaking in English, so I didn't have to depend on the translation. Sometimes I don't depend on translations. I try to translate it myself. But if you're dealing with a population that is not going to respect at all country borders, and, you know, I know the globalists are kind of like that, but I don't think they're like these folks that are coming into European countries. And, hey, Dearborn, Michigan, where they're saying openly, when we get the majority, we are going to get rid of all your laws and we are going to become a caliphate. Believe them when they say what they do. Believe them. So I still have faith that we will be able to win from this, because I believe good ultimately wins. And I do believe this is a fight between good and evil. And I think we're making progress. We've got Arab countries that have never negotiated before that are now negotiating. We've got people realizing things need to be changed. But we cannot live in our little cubby and say, oh, it's okay. They can say that our country belongs to Allah. That's okay. Because, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a healthy way to look at things. Let's go to the phones and talk to Tom in Oakwood. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good morning. I hate to change the subject because I'm a big pro-Israel fan.
Please,
but
it's
I
fine.
I was at the Hall County Planning meeting last night, and I'd like for your listeners to really realize what didn't come up at that meeting, and that was that Turbo Data Center could use up to 800,000 gallons of water a day out of Lake Lanier. They got permission from the city for 250,000 that came up, but what also wasn't discussed is what kind of tax abatements, and people that live on Lake Lanier or near Lake Lanier need to realize the impact as to energy and to water and what that's going to do in the supply and demand over the next years if this thing passes.
Now, if they use
level.
the water, is it a case like, I know there was a big center that was built in Gwinnett that they use the water, but basically it's put right back in where, you know, it's run through the system and it's put back in.
I can't answer that question because there there was no information shared as to the process.
Now, did they actually vote on it, or was it the first time they were discussing it?
No, they passed. It passed.
Okay.
Even though the chairman recused himself because he is the agent in the negotiation, which is a whole other can of worms. And what Jody was talking about is that the process of the Planning Commission is very suspect.
Well, and they're going to have a county commission meeting today. So you're saying the chairman of the county commission or the chairman of the planning commission recused himself?
The planning commission recused himself.
Okay, good.
Because he was the broker he's a broker in the transaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been a challenge in local government that you do attract a lot of people in the real estate business because they know a lot about it. I mean, it's one of those double-edged swords because they could have business interests and yet they don't pay them enough for them to give up their businesses. And would you really want a bunch of county commissioners that was their only job? So it's a challenge, but I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm glad you were there.
The big takeaway is the impact as to the water and the impact as to the energy. This could be the largest data center in the state if it comes to pass.
So what is it?
For 20 full-time employees.
Well, I'm not that up to date on that issue, so I'll take a look at it. But I think it's an interesting point. I'm glad you were there. Now that it was voted on in the planning commission, that means it's going to the county commissioner, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So there's still an opportunity for people to be involved
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I plan to be at that meeting as well.
Did you ask questions?
They only took 2 questions, and I didn't get a chance to ask any questions. But there was so much information that was not shared, with anybody other than just the people on the board.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll take a look at that. We'll be covering it. I'm sure we're going to be at the meeting today, so it'll all be good. We'll take a break. When we come back, lots more to come.
Fuel our discussions with your opinions.
We need to talk about common sense here.
We're the station that gives you a voice.
It's my local station.
We're North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The 28th annual Motul Petit Le Mans returns to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, October 8th through 11th. It's 4 days of world-class sports car endurance racing, culminating with a 10-hour IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season finale, along with action from 4 additional racing series. Enjoy the fan zone, car corrals, grid walk, and so much more. Tickets start at just $60 with kids 12 and under admitted for free. Get yours today at MichelinRacewayRoadAtlanta.com and be there for the Motul Petit Le Mans October 8th through 11th at Michelin Raceway.
This is Nick
and Laura
from Nichols Body Shop. We want you to know it's your choice who repairs your vehicle.
Do not assume you can get the best repair for the cheapest price.
Every shop is different.
We work for you, our customer, to give you the best repair possible.
Learn more by calling 770-967-8200 or come by the shop. Estimates are always free.
You can also find us on Facebook at Nichols Body Shop,
the home of quality repairs
and old-fashioned service.
There's nothing like cool, crisp air of fall in North Georgia after a hot, humid summer. Conditioned Air Systems is here to get your HVAC system ready for the changing seasons. With regular maintenance that saves you money on your energy bill, and look no further for quick, reliable plumbing repairs or installation services. Conditioned Air Systems has been a trusted name in Northeast Georgia for over 45 years. Call us today at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
Cold weather will be here before you know it. At the same time, power outages are on the rise. So here's an important question. If the power goes out when it's really cold, do you have a way to stay warm? If not, you've got to check out the Avesta off-grid space heater from My Patriot Supply. It's a compact, portable space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. It's completely off-grid, and it can heat up a 200 square foot room in a matter of minutes. With Avesta stashed in your closet, you can rest easy, knowing you and your family will stay warm, even if the power goes out. Plus, it doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food without electricity or propane. The best part is, you can get Avesta and a bunch of other free gifts when you order the Winter Prep Special from My Patriot Supply. Just go to mypatriotsupply.com to see everything included. This offer won't last long, and neither will this nice fall weather, so go to mypatriotsupply.com today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a Hall County citizen files a complaint against the Planning and Zoning Commission for alleged meetings being held without proper public notice. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I wonder if you want to talk a little about the relationship that you personally have with President Trump, which is obviously in public quite warm.
Well, it's in private quite warm. Doesn't mean that we agree on everything or at any one time we agree on every point. That's what we have a conversation for. You have that in your family?
A lot.
Yeah? You want to say who wins out? Your wife.
My wife, always. Yes.
Well, in this case, it's not a husband and wife situation. It's a question of partners. We're the junior partner. I mean, we have nobody should mistake that, because right now the liberty of the world, the security of the world is dependent on the strength of the United States. And I think what President Trump has done in a very short time is bring America back to the front seat, to the driver's seat in world affairs. And that's very, very important, because I think we all depend on America's strength, on its resolve. And I think President Trump has made America great again.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. And Logan, I want to ask you a question about this, because the Middle East conflict has been the center of a lot of things for a long time. Okay, it rears its ugly head from time to time, and you've got a lot of these deals that have been made all over the world, and now it looks like we're close in Israel. Do you think this could cause a ripple effect that could bring things back to normal? Because it does feel very much like things are out of whack in certain ways, even though we get to go through our day-to-day lives.
No, and I mean, I get what you're saying, and it might, right? Because, I mean, we've been, both of us collectively have been through a lot of major kind of world events, whether it be, wars like this that we're seeing here or various other topics, but they come and go. That's just how life is. And, like I say, you get Martha, let me flip this and ask you, do you think we've seen maybe like the peak of the animosity between maybe just the citizens, the college students, protesters, et cetera, et cetera?
I hope so, because I really am encouraged by this decision by CBS News, because they've put all new management in, okay? They're really trying to redo things and to get their journalistic endeavor. And granted, broadcast news isn't what it used to be size-wise, right? But I think somebody like a Barry Weiss has shown through a non-traditional type of media that she could change things pretty quickly. And now she's going to be part of the, quote, legacy media. And I am very encouraged by that, because as we talked about yesterday, one of my biggest concerns is the fact that people don't know where to go for information. You need to come here because we're going to tell you the truth, or where to find the truth. But people are kind of sucked into social media, and that's not where you should get your news.
No, and, I mean, there's so many, reporters, I'm using quotations on that you can just find on X or TikTok or Facebook, wherever you find your, style of news at, that you think are, doing the right thing and reporting the correct 100% facts, but a lot of times they're, paid by organizations, or they work under this kind of umbrella to, like you said, kind of push narratives or their own views on others, and just because they have a blue check mark, you believe it.
Well, and I think, too, that what you see is there is a lot of good work that's been done by these kind of man-on-the-street reporters.
Right, of course.
Because you've gotten stories that you never would have gotten before, and you've gotten into crowds. But I was watching this back and forth recently on one of these protests where the guy was trying to get people to talk to him. And because of the news agency he was with, they said they wouldn't talk to him. Okay, so here you are out protesting on the street. Theoretically, what you're wanting is for people to listen to you on your point of view, but you're choosing who you'll talk to and who you won't talk to. And then he got into a conversation with a guy who said, well, you're obviously, because of who you work for, you have this point of view. And then, okay, but you're out here protesting. Don't you want people to talk to you? So I think that what we've got to do is get out of our silos. Okay, I say this every day. You've got to vote. You've got to parent your children. And you have got to have a face-to-face conversation with someone. So here's where we're going to start from the beginning, and then it's going to crescendo in November of 2026, okay? We're going to start from the beginning where the last day to register to vote was yesterday. We talked about that on Friday. Early voting will start on October the 14th. And then vote in your municipal elections. Vote in your PSC races. I know you think that doesn't matter, but we just had a guy call in about data centers. You should care about who your PSC commissioner is if you care about data centers. I don't think they're the evil that a lot of people think they are. I think they are a new way of doing business, which, you know, we don't still use wagon wheels very often. Then we don't use trucks as much as we did. We use a lot of trucks, but we also use railroad cars. It's funny how we're going back to that old mode of transportation because it was actually the cleanest one. So you've got to understand that things change. And now we are manufacturing and dealing in data, okay? And we want to be on the cutting edge of that. But I'm not saying that's the be-all, end-all because some other change is going to come beyond that. You know, Bill Maher said that he's all into the, what are they called, UAPs now? UFOs are called UAPs or something.
I didn't know they had a new term. I always just know UFOs.
No, some new term. He says, now I don't know where he got it from, that there's some 13-mile-long object coming towards Earth that lights up. And so everybody thinks it's a ship, okay? Because it couldn't be a rock because the light is at the front of it, not at the back of it. Well, I don't know. I'm just repeating what he said. So we got bigger problems to worry about. And I don't know. I'm kind of the mindset that I do believe there's one God, but I also believe he may have started many, many peoples in the solar system. All right, or in the other solar systems. I think there's lots of people, but I have no way to prove that, okay? Prove me wrong, as Charlie Kirk would say. But I hope that you all will think about the things you're saying and doing, that you'll try to get to news sources, but I'm turning mine off from the time I exit this show until I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready for this show again, and I'm living my real life with the people that I care